And then about 6 weeks after, I think, I'm not too sure, all these things, Robinson decided he should go along with Plan A, and as the Constitution demanded he should do. And he appointed them senators and so on. And the issue subsided again. And then there was another round. I don't know if to call these 1, 2, 3, 3, which 4. Another round came up of the standoff. And that round came not long after, about 8 months after, when the UNC imploded. It broke up from its side. And Trevor Sudama, Ralph Maraj, and Ramesh Maraj made it clear they weren't supporting Prime Minister Pandey. Made it clear that they weren't supporting him and so on. And they did so in the context in which the government was preparing a budget. The first of his budget since the Parliament since the election of 2000. It's for the Parliament it's the first budget of the 2000 Parliament. There was a budget before the election that Pandey called, if I remember correctly. So when he became the Prime Minister, there was money was already voted, and he used that and so on until everything finished, and then he had to go back to get supply from the Parliament around September or August, as the time might be. And it was clear that he didn't have that support at all. It was reported that the renegades, the Renegade Three, went to Robinson and discussed the matters with him, where they stand in relation to the Prime. It was clearly the Prime Minister has lost his place as Primus, as the first person in the Parliament around which you have to build a government. And the debate in the country at the time was in what circumstances could you remove a government that has lost a Prime Minister that has lost the majority? People debated that, left, right, and center. What are the conditions? He's already Prime Minister. Right. We know these people don't support him, but and maybe a legislation might be before the House, as I think indeed it was, and he can't pass it. These fellows voted against him and so on. But is that a sufficient condition to remove the Prime Minister? Right. The one condition that was clear was that if he can't pass the budget, then he should go. Then he has to go. The government falls, and we elect a new government. The question, that was clear. The only question was, by what route would you reconstitute the government? Right? Was the president going to reconstitute the government on the basis of the Crown Parliament, which is to say, fire Pandey if you can't pass the budget, fire him, and you get somebody else from among the members of the House who could command the majority, and you reconstitute the government, or you go to fresh elections. Now, that was an issue that I think was extremely important to the renegades to determine how they act. And I'm making this, I'm put forward this argument because it's extremely important, I feel, if we interpret correctly what I call the Robinson presidency, how Robinson behaved, what was the impact of the Robinson presidency on the constitutional arrangement and the political system. So that was an extremely important issue. That was the question of how the route by which you would elect the Prime Minister. Whether you will use the current Parliament, whether you will elect him from the members of the House, the current members of the House, or whether you will go and ask for fresh elections and you have a fresh input of a fresh makeup of the House, and from which you get the Prime Minister. And that was an important question because the renegades were not likely to survive an election. Sudama, Rav Maharaj, and Ramesh Maharaj were not likely to survive an election. If they didn't support Pandey and he's not on their list, they're not going to survive, as we see. So that's important to them, and political life is the most important thing. Life in any form is the most important thing. So they have to calculate whether they should not vote for the appropriation bill, and then have the government call fresh election and they're out of it, or whether they should vote for the appropriation bill, right? And the government don't have to call the election, and they remain in the parliament and they continue what they're doing and so on. And they needed some clue from Robinson what he was going to do. He talked to them. They needed some clue as to what exactly he would do. And that didn't come. And they end up voting for the appropriation bill. And Pandey now had his budget. And after that, the quarrel didn't subside. It continued apace, and very quickly, Pandey dissolved the parliament. He called on the president to dissolve the parliament, and he announced fresh dates for the elections and so on.